Hello everybody, my name is Alexis. I'm an entrepreneur, speaker, and author of the book A Journey into Truth, Unveiling Life's Secrets for Truth Seekers. And you are watching the Vibrate to Create YouTube channel. And on this channel, I talk about life, philosophy, meaning, art, spirituality, metaphysics, and so much more. If you're interested in topics like these, then click the subscribe button and hit the notification bell to be notified of when I post new videos so you never miss a video. Thank you for being a part of my journey. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Okay.
But it doesn't play them, he represents them.
I see.
And as soon as they are set up.
Set up means put in place physically?
Yes. So that we see the relationship between them. Then the representatives feel like the persons they represent without knowing them. It's a kind of participating in something greater where there is knowledge present, like a
Right. Yeah, so I've been in places where I've been representing people and I've been like, experiencing exactly what the dynamics are in this family. Or feeling like, oh, I feel so much anger. And even that in this field, it's very much accepted and acknowledged because all is allowed to be. Because when you're allowing that energy to move, it doesn't affect the person as much. So it's all about allowing anything, really, any kind of emotion and really stepping into it and not disassociating from it or saying, oh, you shouldn't be mad, but allowing it to be and allowing it to move. It's really beautiful because many times in our society, we're not allowed to, feel those things, or we're told to kind of shove it down and then it comes out in other ways. But yes, I have. And it's also interesting because it's evidential. So there's been times where people have like something has come up where, let's say something happened in the family system that nobody knew about, except for the one person it happened to. And it comes up and the client goes back later to ask, did that actually happen in the family? And then it's confirmed that this is something that really actually happened. And it's like, wow, showing these things of these different, it's called a hidden loyalty to the family system. And earlier today, I saw someone who was on Instagram. He's kind of a well-known motivational speaker, or he talks a lot about trauma-informed therapy or something. And he said there's a lot of awarenesses. He called it epigenetics. He said there's a lot of awarenesses that many things get passed down to you in your genes. And sometimes you don't realize, I'm really afraid of these things and I don't know where it comes from, but really it came from your grandmother who was really afraid of these things, and unknowingly it gets passed down and you just take it as, this is just how I am. But in actuality, it's part of your DNA. It's part of the belief systems that got passed down through your culture, through, many different ancestral lineages and just generations that came before you. And so this work can really help to shift things. It's beautiful. So let's keep going.
Field which encompasses all the participants and the family members.
So I think that's also why you speak of your system as a systemic family therapy. Is that the knowing field that you're referring to right now?
Yes, and this field or the family reacts in a particular way. We can observe that in a family in the wider sense. That means not only the parents and the children, but also the grandparents and the brothers and sisters of the parents, that they are steered by a common conscience, which is completely unconscious. Now this common conscience sees to it that no member of the family is lost. So if in one generation a person, a member of the family, is excluded for whatever reason, or if it is forgotten, like stillborn children very often, this member of the family will then be represented in a later generation by somebody who has no idea about them, and in this way their life and their fate and their destiny.
Okay, so these exclusions can be in so many different ways, and it's very particular to every single system, and I keep saying that because it's so important. But even an exclusion of like someone who was drug addicted or who was homeless, an exclusion of like they were, a bad person, this exclusion of like even people who have done really terrible things, like pedophiles, people who have done things that we see as like, that is absolutely not okay. And those people get shunned out. But what he's saying is when we shun those people, the family system and the love that keeps getting passed down, if there is one person who is shunned away, it gets passed down to someone later on. And this was hard for me to understand at the very beginning of my journey. It was like, bad people are bad people, because that's what our society teaches. But this has really helped me to understand, like, it does a disservice, this resentment or this pushing away or these exclusions, because it causes the family system and people in later generations to also kind of identify with this particular person, because out of love, subconsciously, they're including them in some form. And it all happens energetically. And including could mean having an illness. It could mean following in those same footsteps of the person who is excluded, or taking the same actions as the person that is excluded. It could mean having the same habits as them, or having habits that are leading to a similar outcome as them. Or it could mean many things. It could mean many things. I don't want to add too many ideas here about what it could be, because it's all very particular to the family system, like I said earlier. So let's keep going.
Destiny are repeated. And this is very strange. That means that the member picked up by that common conscience has to live a life foreign to his own destiny.
One of the components of this knowing field that you talk about would be that it has a memory, and that even though we may forget, that the greater intelligence does not forget and wants to be sure that things are not forgotten.
Exactly.
Okay.
But while this is honoring the former member, it is disregarding the later member.
Mm-hmm.
So this common conscience is not just. And the later member, who has to represent a former member of the family, feels not to be in contact with his own destiny. He has to repeat a destiny foreign to him.
So in a practical sense, if there was someone in the family, a grandparent, who was very hateful and spiteful and even maybe committed criminal acts, then the family will want to forget about that person, not talk about her or him, and then somehow a child or grandchild will be hateful and will have criminal tendencies, even though if they were left alone, they would never go that way.
Exactly, exactly. Now, by the family constellation, this connection comes to light. For instance, if that excluded person is represented in the family.
So if that person is put up and looked at and seen.
Yes, then you can see that the member identified with that former person feels good as soon as this other person is also included.
But in the usual way that we're used to working through our rage and anger and difficulties with our parents and grandparents. How is your point of view different?
You see, the psychodynamic approach is valid in many respects, but very often you reach a boundary which you can't transgress. You can't go beyond that, a limit which you can't go beyond. So you have to widen the scope, and then you include the family dynamics, and very often then you find a solution for the problems you couldn't solve before.
Now, where would your method be most effective, and where would it be least effective? Where would, in its application?
It is most effective, and it's actually necessary wherever you have to do with an entanglement.